Gets open for three. Dagger!
The kick, and here it comes. Swing and a miss! And a World Series Game 7 winning Curly W is in the books.
Washington Capitals are the 2018 Stanley Cup champions. You like that? You like that? I like that.
You gotta like that, right?
My approval ratings keep going up.
Sorry to keep you waiting. Complicated business.
FP, there's nothing complicated about this show at all. My name is Joe. His name is FP. Two-man show. LP may join us in a little bit. We got a special guest coming up in the second half of the show as well to preview the Washington football team heading down to Atlanta to face the Falcons, the Dirty Birds. It doesn't happen frequently, but when it does, it usually doesn't end well for Washington. So we have a lot to talk about, and we're going to get into all of it. But FP, before we get into the Atlanta-specific stuff, let's just talk about the NFL at large. There's a couple things that caught my eye now that, week 3 is over. What caught your eye over the past couple of days? A lot of great matchups. There's a really couple, 2 or 3 really good 4:00 games and an entertaining Monday night broadcast because Eli and Peyton just make everything fantastic. And we should talk about them as well. But what caught your eye? One team, one play, one player, etc.
The thing that caught my eye the most would have to be the Cincinnati Bengals by far. It's coming into this Thursday game where you're going to have Burrow versus the Jaguars, whatever his name is. The Bengals turned around faster than what Washington is doing, and just seeing them take down Pittsburgh and sort of shake up the entire division and look really well. I mean, Jamar Chase looks good. Burrow looks strong. They broke the Steelers' sack record of 75 games straight with a sack. I mean, nobody expected the Bengals to kind of start the season this strong, especially with Burrow coming off his injury. And I just love when divisions just get rocked and go against expectations, including the Chiefs being at the bottom. It makes for great football when the storylines don't stick to how they've been the past few seasons.
Yeah, the Chiefs are an interesting story, and I think it's worth noting that Pat Mahomes is doing things that he's done in previous seasons, but the ball's getting tipped, and things are happening that haven't happened to him in the past, right? He plays loose, he plays fast and loose, and that's fine, that's his style. It was weird to see him try to throw on the run, throw balls behind receivers, a little high. Like, he's missing some throws that he's been making in past seasons. And yeah, like you said, the Chiefs are playing from behind now in some of these games. The Chiefs have lost consecutive games for the first time, I think, in his tenure as the starting quarterback. I mean, that's a pretty big deal. You know, the fact that the rest of that division, the Broncos in particular, are looking competitive and pretty good. You know, and something that really caught my eye too, specifically with Mahomes, I feel like there was a little bit of extra respect put on, Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert, I mean, the Chargers look like a really good team, and we saw them here in week 1.
Yeah,
they look like a really good
game
team
for them. If that was a primetime game, the Chargers would be on the top of every news cycle, even just beating the Chiefs alone. But Herbert looked great, and the Chargers of old, they always found ways to lose games, and all of a sudden they're finding ways to win games. And if they can just clean it up a little bit with their penalties and all of that, the AFC in general, come playoff time, it's hard to tell who's going to be there. The Raiders look great. There's so many teams that's just kind of shocking everybody right now with the undefeated and just coming through.
There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot going on. And, speaking of an AFC team, the one team that I want to talk about, and it pains me to bring them up or bring them into the conversation, and somewhere I think Razzle is smiling, right? I want to talk about Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. The Ravens, 2 weeks in a row, if you're a Ravens fan, and I am not a Ravens fan, let me just be super clear, not a Ravens fan, they don't have many offensive weapons outside of Lamar. They don't have a real running back. Their best wide receivers got Butterfingers, drops a ton of passes. Hollywood drops a lot of passes. But 2 weeks in a row now, Lamar has made things happen in the fourth quarter, at the end of the game, on a fourth down, to beat two really, one really good team and one really bad team, two opposite extremes. But, that was the thing that caught my eye. Everyone's going to focus on the record-setting Tucker field goal, and it was awesome. And the video clip of the the Lions fans like, oh, we won. No, we didn't. Yes, I totally get it. But Lamar converted a 4th and 19 to set that up. 4th and 19.
Yeah.
I mean, here in Washington, we can't convert like 3rd and 2. This guy converted a 4th and 19 with no timeouts to set up his it's a desperation. Like, you got to think Harbaugh at that point, even Lamar, they're thinking this isn't going to happen. We gave it our best shot. We're going to come up a little bit short. They end up winning the game. If you're a Ravens fan, that's 2 weeks in a row you didn't expect to win going into that fourth quarter or late into that fourth quarter, and you come away with a win. That's the type of thing where, momentum, it's something you can physically see or touch, but that's the type of thing that a team can build on, right? I think so. I mean, the Ravens to me are the surprise of the NFL right now because they shouldn't be that good. Their record shouldn't be what it is, but good for them.
They're definitely playing on a magical season, hopes and dreams, and I don't know if it's sustainable, especially just with how strong the AFC is in general. But when you look at Harbaugh and that team, and this is kind of a dig at the Washington football team, it is a much better coached team from top to bottom.
Stability at that position. And look, Ron's been here now for a season and a half or whatever it is. He's got 20 games under his belt as the WFT head coach. And this was a statistic that caught my eye. He's been behind in 16 of those 20 games. Right? You're not going to win. You're not going to win many games if you are trailing 80% of the time at the end of the first quarter. I mean, that's a pretty damning statistic, and it's something that I pulled a couple of his sound bites from his radio hit earlier today on local radio here, and we can listen to it and kind of talk through it. They both, it was a 20-minute interview. There was 2 different clips about a minute each that I isolated because I couldn't believe he said it. One was about Taylor Heineke and the quarterback play, which maybe I can get on board with. The second was about expectations for the team as they go into Atlanta. I couldn't believe what he said, and frankly, I listened to it and then I turned off the radio. I went to the gym. I did some other stuff, and then I came back to the interview. I was like, wow, this soundbite it's not very confidence-inducing. As a fan, I don't know if I want my head coach to be saying this type of stuff, and we'll get to that in a second. But Razzle, did anything catch your eye around the NFL Week 3? Any team in particular? Don't do the Ravens because I already talked about the Ravens. We'll let it go. You can smile. You can, high five to you for calling that out. But what caught your eye Week 3?
How good the Rams came out against the Bucs.
This guy is so predictable. So, do you have a back tattoo of Sean McVay or the Rams yet?
I wish I had a back tattoo of Sean McVay on my back.
I feel like you're gonna pull a full Ben Affleck and just go get a huge Rams
he
logo
almost
on your back.
Combusted after they had the lead at halftime. He was so
his face exploded.
I mean, did you see Deshaun Jackson running down the field and catching that ball at a 75-yarder? No, I mean, the Rams were the story of the weekend, and I don't know if Tampa had their eyes set on Week 4, the big Sunday night game.
The great return, GOAT versus
the great
GOAT.
return, Brady, but Belichick reunion. I don't know if that was, kind of clouding their preparation for the week. But the story of the Rams, the story is obviously Aaron Rodgers, and what he was able to do, getting
32 seconds left, no time out. Plenty of time for Aaron Rodgers, apparently.
I mean, he's back. I mean, we went from, 2 weeks ago thinking, we went from, basically saying he's done and he quit on them to now they're, I was looking at the ESPN power rankings today. They had him in the top 5.
Yeah, I mean, he's making me eat my words, Joe. I mean, that's the honest truth. I said Rodgers and the Packers were the big story after Week 1 because of how terrible they looked. And frankly, that defense still looks terrible, but Aaron doesn't look terrible anymore. And Devonta Adams doesn't look terrible either. But let's talk about him for a second. Should he have been on the field to end that game?
Well,
given the hit. It was a helmet to helmet. He clearly was not responsive on the field.
Big star treatment. He got big star treatment on that one.
Those rules are only there just on paper. I mean, they do whatever they need to do. What I thought you were referring to were the Niners leaving too much time on the clock on that last drive, but you can't really blame that on Garoppolo because he threw a little hitch out route to the fullback, but he just kind of powered his way through and got into the end zone, leaving 37 seconds on the clock and allowing Aaron Rodgers to get 2 plays. Devontae Adams just found holes in the defense. I don't know what kind of defense that
guy. He was targeted 18 times. When was the last time a Washington football team was anybody?
No,
We didn't even have 18 pass attempts. 18 times at one guy.
Well, you can't even compare that. I mean, we don't have a receiver. Devontae Adams is in the discussion.
We might have one. We
don't have someone who's in discussion to being the top
receiver
receiver in the
gave
league.
Terry Aaron Rodgers, I think he would be better.
Well, I mean, we already know where this conversation is going. Would Aaron Rodgers come to Washington? No, he won't, because this team's
I'm not saying Aaron come here. I'm saying once we lose Terry,
okay,
to a different team.
You mean normal Washington sports happenings, right? Where our best players leave and then become studs.
Right. He will go 7 straight Pro Bowls.
It's funny. I saw my dad today, and he was talking about the game on Sunday. He's like, "Where are all of our old players?" He was asking me where Ryan Kerrigan was, and he thought Sean Jackson sprinting down the field. I'm like, he was making a good point. All of our players leave, and they go have success other places.
Well, they go places where there are ties back to Washington. That's always the thing that kind of, and it's what happened is Steve got this into my head, and I can't undo it now. Like the tree, like how all the dots connect back to the football team in some way or shape or form, right? Like the Jay Gruden coaching tree is everywhere right now in the NFL.
And super successful.
And they're very successful. Jay is not.
Is it the Jay coaching tree or is it the Shanahan coaching tree?
It might be both, right?
I guess
but my
it would
point
be the
is
Shanahan.
It's the Shanahan.
Right now, but right now, Kyle in San Francisco and Sean McVay in LA with the Rams,
LaFleur with Green Bay,
and exactly, like they're all looking great offensively. Defense, I mean, McVay's in a different class, and it's just all these guys were on the same staff here. All of them were here.
They're all friends. They're all
I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are.
The tree goes a little further down. If you know the offensive coordinator or the Jets, I know the Jets. I mean,
it's LaFleur's brother, right?
Yep, LaFleur's brother, his little brother Matt. Mike.
That ruins the point if you bring the Jets offense into this.
Yeah,
but the point is that they're successful elsewhere, and McVay looks. I mean, that guy's younger than us. I mean, Sean McVay's younger than me.
He's younger than you guys. I mean, he's not younger.
He's a baby by NFL standards, and he's
40-0 when leading by the half. 40-0.
Yeah,
that's an insane stat. If we hired him as our head coach, there's no way he would be 40-0.
We should have.
There's no chance.
We lost him after once he was flirting with getting some head coaching positions. We should have fired Jake Gruden on the spot and hired him.
It wasn't going to happen. We can't do that. I'm going to get depressed. That's so many years ago. So many quarterbacks ago for the football team. We gotta move past.
Speaking of quarterbacks, what's the status on RG3? Still tweeting us? Is he still trying to get a job?
RG3 needs to just stop. I don't think I've ever come across somebody. I mean, social media is crazy. It's the home of crazy people in general. But this guy just never stops tweeting. And I make the mistake every time of going through the comments, and it's 50-50 of we miss you, we love you, we should have never got rid of you, and then the other one's just people just dunking on him and saying how terrible he is and just go focus on being an announcer. So he's just got to stop. Like, just go be whatever it is that you are going to go be.
I don't know if you guys are hip with the young kids slang now, but he's what we call zombieing now. So ghosting is when you just leave the person that you're hooking up with and you leave them on red. They have no idea what happened to you. Zombieing is when you come back after ghosting somebody, trying to get back in the door. That's what RG3 is doing.
Thank you very much.
I didn't know that.
That's the title of this episode.
Yeah.
The zombie. Yeah, got it. Sometimes they just name themselves. That's perfect. I know we didn't get a chance to talk about it, boys. We did the post-game show on the Contender Network on Sunday after the loss. It was rough then. Honestly, it still feels pretty rough now. The team just didn't play well. I mean, that's just the very simple, honest truth. But now we're starting to get into like the pile-on territory. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Brian Baldinger started talking about effort, lack of effort on the defense, and the play that he noted and posted online. It was like the 4th play of the game. It wasn't the 44th play of the game. It wasn't some meaningless garbage play. It was literally the 4th play of the game. Did you guys see that clip? Because I saw it, and I honestly, I remember thinking to myself in real time while watching the game, it doesn't seem like Duran's running really hard. It doesn't seem like, seems like there's a lot of open space and there's no one in it in front of Josh Allen. But to hear that come from somebody like Brian, who he's not a hot take guy, he's not a talking head, he's not a me type of person, right?
Video backup.
Yeah, I mean, what did you think of that? I mean, you both watched the game. I don't know if lack of effort is how I would have defined it. It was an embarrassment because they couldn't get anything done. But watching it in real time, I didn't think lack of effort, like that wasn't what was coming across my mind. FB, did you think differently?
I could tell that we weren't sort of flying around and playing at a high speed. And the thing that I was zoning in on is sort of Chase Young's 2-point stance, where he just stands with his hands on his hips, and he doesn't look like he's really focused on getting that quick twitch release off the line that all the great defensive ends have. And it's kind of his game, kind of his style, but it's terrible. And when you notice that and you see him last second, all right, haphazardly get into his stance, it kind of flows down that defensive line. And you start to notice that everybody on that line, and you hear it in the commentary and the coach talk and everything, or they're not communicating, they're not doing anything. And it all looks like they bought into their own hype and they're like, oh, we can manhandle anybody, but then no effort, no fire comes out of it. And it's infuriating to see. And then you see Chase Young, he's quoted saying like, I feel like everybody right now, we know we have to change. And then his immediate next sentence is something has to change. So even talking to us, it sounds like they don't have any answer as to why they're being so terrible, so slow, so lethargic.
But maybe he's got a point. I mean, Razzle, did you think he had a point with the effort?
I mean, he definitely does. I feel like that comes down to coaching. I feel like it comes down to culture. I mean, there seems to be a disconnect with the coaching staff. I mean, I know Jack Del Rio, he's had success as a head coach. We were successful, last year. We had a pretty stout defense, but are they just not able to execute, the game plan, or are they not just able to just, do what they need to do? I don't know. Whenever I hear, lack of effort or checked out, there's something else deeper going on. It's a disconnect with the coaching staff, or a disconnect with the culture. There has to be something more going on than just not executing a game plan.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you, and I think if we're gonna put it, I mean, I would put it more honestly. Now, it's 2 days later. I would put it more on the coaches than on the players, right? Yeah. The players aren't that much different than the players that were here last year. You can certainly argue that the caliber of opponent is better than what we were facing last year, and that's a fair point. That's the point Stevie makes all the time, and that's a very fair point. But the coaches have had the same people in front of them for months at this point. You've got to know that Holcomb can't cover a tight end in the flat. You have to know by this point that, Montez Sweat is going to give you 3 or 4 really good plays and then need to take 1 or 2 off to catch his breath and come back in, which is totally fine. Like, you have to know that, your cornerbacks are susceptible to the deep crossing route because your safeties tend to cheat and get burned. Like, you have to know these things, right? Jack Del Rio must know these things at this point. I know it's only 3 weeks in, but they've been working with the same players for a long time. So some of this has got to be on the coaches, maybe the majority of it, frankly. And I want to play this clip. This is Ron Rivera. I'll do my best to kind of start and stop, and we can talk over it if we need to. But this is Rivera talking about Taylor Heineke in particular, about his play against the Bills. Listen to this.
Basically, I told him is hey, go out and make the right play. Make the right play because it's the one you should, not because it's hard or not because it's simple, but make the right play. If the right play is throwing a check down, then throw the check down. If the right play is throwing the 9, throw the 9. If the right play is running, run. That's the thing. You don't want him to try and do more than he needs to. Mm-hmm. Okay, and that's the thing that got him in trouble. Okay, mm-hmm. Those picks came on when he tried to force the ball into situations that he should know better. But, again, when you're put in the position he was, and again, we didn't help him defensively. We could have been better, okay? Now you feel like you're pressing, like you have to, you must, you gotta. And what happens? The stress steps up, you force things, and bad things happen. And that's really what happened. I thought if you really took a step back and looked at the situation and how Taylor handled it, I was very pleased. Mm-hmm. It's like that last touchdown drive we had, okay? Being in the situation we were, talked to Scott about it and said, hey, let's don't get into this 2-minute drill stuff. Let's stay focused and let's drive one down there and let's put points on the board and let's do it like we would in any portion of the game. And so that's how we handled that last drive that we scored on. It was very methodical. Taylor did the things he was supposed to. He showed us that he can do it, which is more important. And it was a good way for the offense to finish the game in spite of the score.
Right.
You know, and I'm just gonna look. I mean, who wants to go first? Because
I mean, we were down 21-0 early in the second quarter. You know, I mean, of course he's going to make those plays. Of course he's going to try to.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing the Bills' preseason defense at that point,
right?
They don't care.
It's not like he was put in a position where, you know, it was a close game throughout, and he was, you know, trying to keep up and manage the game plan. I mean, I'm looking at it here. The Bills were up 21-0 with 10:48 left in the second quarter. At that point, you have to throw out the game plan. You have to try to force things and make plays, or else you're going to end up with the same result. So, you know, I mean,
that soundbite, Joe. To me, that soundbite, like I didn't like that.
It's garbage coach talk. Coach talk.
Yeah, and I get some of it is, you know, he's not going to go on you know, public airwaves or national airwaves and game plan openly and criticizes. I get that. But this idea that he walked over to Scott Turner and said, "Hey, don't start running the no huddle or the 2-minute offense. Let's just go methodically down the field and look to see what we have." I would buy that in a preseason game. Okay, like, okay, fine. Like you want to see what you've got. You're evaluating players. That's what it sounded like to me. Again, initially, first cut or first time I heard it, okay, like he wasn't necessarily throwing in the towel, but at the same time he realized maybe that the game was out of reach. The second time and the third time and every time I've heard it since then, that clip, that sounds like a coach who knew the game was out of reach and he was evaluating everyone on the field. That's what it sounds like to me at this point.
Well, you knew that game was out of reach when he did that Bobo challenge that everybody knew.
We can't. Oh my goodness!
Everybody knew that wasn't going, and Ron's like, "Crap! I need to find a way to keep this offense on the field so that we don't get boat raced by the Bills." And he knew that was coming. And the entire comment that he just had, that whole clip, when you watch the game, you can see, like, the first half, somebody somewhere told Heineke, don't run, don't scramble, stay in the pocket, make these passes. That did not work. And then in the third, when we were almost on the grip of momentum, you saw him sort of get comfortable and start using his athleticism. And that's when the offensive side of the ball was clicking a little bit more. And for Ron to be like, Ron essentially, I think, went against what he initially told Heineke. So it's tells Heineke, don't run. The passing doesn't work. And then Ron comes out and he's like, well, he needs to be smarter with his decisions.
Yeah.
You handicapped your own quarterback with the thing that makes him special.
Yeah. It just bothers me that you're not, at that point, you're either admitting that the game is out of reach and you're evaluating your players, or you don't have any faith in your 2-minute offense and you're just saying, just don't make it any worse, basically. Something about that soundbite just doesn't sit well with me. I got to be honest. I don't like it. And frankly, I got one more clip I want to play for you guys. We can react to this one too. He was asked by one of the hosts on the show if Sunday was a must-win, if Atlanta's a must-win. Listen to this one.
Season left, but to be 1-3 with all those good teams still looming on the schedule, this is a big one. And Matt Ryan is not Josh Allen. He can't bounce around and run and beat you with his legs, but he is a veteran. He has won MVP. He won an MVP. He knows the game, and they've got some skill guys. So, but what do you expect? Could you expect your line to take advantage of his immobility and get to him this Sunday?
Well, what I expect our guys is to improve more than anything else. I expect them to work hard this week, develop, and get ready to play a football game.
Do you think it's a must-win?
No, I don't. There's plenty of football games left to play. But to me, I think this is a game you have to play with urgency, though. I think you have to understand that every opportunity you get, you got to take advantage of it. You know, after this week, there's still 13 games.
Right.
Okay? And as far as I'm concerned, it's just one at a time.
It's such a bad look from Ron. There's 13 games. How many of those games are winnable, Ron?
I was going to say, Ron, do you know we took the over on the 8.5 wins this season? Okay, does he know that we put money on that?
There's no way that McVay or Bruce Arians or any of these other coaches are like, oh, yeah, it's not a must win. There's 100% they go out to their team every Tuesday after their rest day, and they're like, this is a must-win game. I don't care if it's the Jaguars, the Washington football team, or the Buccaneers. This is a must-win game. And for Ron to come out and be like, there's a lot of season left, that's loser talk right there.
Well, and frankly, Matt Ryan, I know Matt Ryan is not fast. Okay, he's not Josh Allen. He might not even be Daniel Jones. But the way the defense played on Sunday, you don't have to be very fast. You just need to be smart about when you step up and step to the side. I mean, I covered it. We covered it in the post game show. We've talked about it in the past. Chase has one move right now, and that's just running 100 miles an hour. He's literally running out of the TV frame. Yeah. If you're watching TV, he's running out of the frame and coming back in. Matt Ryan's good enough to understand that that's coming and then step 2 feet to the right.
One little shoulder dip.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, he's not the fastest quarterback. He doesn't have to be. He's a savvy vet. He'll know where to be and how to move around to elude that. I mean, if they can't get pressure, then this will continue to happen. And frankly, I mean, Calvin Ridley is primed here for a really sweet spot. I don't have a clip of it, but Rivera was asked if Willie Jackson's if Willie's going to follow him all over the place, and he said we don't know yet. If he doesn't,
he's not even game planning yet.
I understand, but if he doesn't, if we don't have they need two people on Calvin, and it doesn't really matter. Like everyone else really doesn't matter for right now. But that is a scary matchup right now for this secondary.
And what else?
Yeah, if he's on your fantasy, you have to start him.
Yeah, I was gonna say the other thing is this Atlanta Falcons team's coming in 0-3 and hungry for a win. You know, they lost on a last minute field goal.
Washington's 0-3. In reality, if the Giants don't jump offside, we missed the field goal.
A more realistic 1-2 than Washington.
Right, but I'm saying Arthur Smith and that team are looking to get.
No. Hold on. The Falcons were neck and neck with the Bucs as well until those two very, very fluky interceptions run back for touchdowns. That game was close.
They handled the Giants 1,000% better than us.
I understand all that, but the record is they're 0-3.
The record is the record. But you know what? But hold on. Let's talk about that for a second too, because offensive point totals in Week 3. So the Washingtons put up 21 points, right? 21 points in Week 3 would have been good for 2 wins. Okay, in Week 3. On the season, get this. This is what I was doing today during tea time, and you guys know what that means. 14 points would be good to win about 14% of the games so far this NFL season. That's really terrible.
Right.
21 points wins you 14% of the games so far played through 3 weeks. You're going to have to we're talking a lot about the defense here. Offense is going to have to score points too. And frankly, they looked at times like they were able to move the ball. So I'm not that concerned about the offense. I think they will, they're not, we won't call them a soft D. We are a soft D. We're a very porous defense. But they should be okay. But the defense is going to have to do something. They're going to have to do something. And frankly, Atlanta doesn't have, as far as I'm concerned, and we have a guest coming on. He can help us get smart on the Atlanta, skill position players. I think Cordell Patterson is the leading rusher, who was once a wide receiver,
running back, receiver, pseudo.
Yeah, he's a fantasy stud because he's got that RB wide receiver thing. You might even make him a tight end too, right?
Designation.
Yeah. I mean, he's literally a Swiss Army knife, which is kind of cool. But they shouldn't be able to run the ball effectively against Washington.
They are going to.
They will, but they shouldn't be able to. So I don't know. Do you guys have any thoughts on that one clip in particular? I think this is a must-win for the football team because it doesn't get any easier from here. Like Atlanta and the Saints back-to-back, these are the last two truly winnable games for a long time. That's how I see it. Do you guys disagree with me?
I'll play devil's advocate against you guys, and I'll say I understand where Ron is coming from because start of this season, by week 4, everybody expected Washington football team to be 1-2. Nobody thought we were beating the Chargers, maybe a toss-up. Everybody knew we were losing to the Bills. So coming into week 4 as a 1-2, from a coaching perspective, the ship is where it needs to be. And then you look at the Falcons and you're like, this is a winnable game. It's not a must-win game because we're 1-0 in the division. We're still kind of on track from a coaching perspective. I see where he's coming from. But when you look at the product on the field, you cannot say that. And
looking at the product on the field last night too, the Cowboys are a really good team.
It took us this long to bring up the
Cowboys are a good team, and
we are
frankly,
on the
Dak scored a
trajectory.
touchdown. The fact that they The Zebras are not overturning calls, which fine, whatever, if that's the way it's going to be. He scored a touchdown. That wasn't a fumble. That was a touchdown, right? So the Cowboys are better than we expected. The Eagles probably are on par with the Washingtons. I think so. And the Giants are clearly the worst team.
Well,
then again, they almost beat us.
Are they, though? Are they?
Here's the thing. It is a must-win because, like you mentioned, Joe, the Saints are coming up, and the Saints look good. Famous Jameis, they went up.
I mean, they're not good, but they're better than us.
They're better than us. Okay, then we have the Chiefs. Okay, I know they're 1-2, but they're still the Chiefs. Then we have Aaron Rodgers.
He's good.
The Packers. Then we have, your other favorite team, the Denver Broncos, who are, I know they played garbage.
Your boy might be in Denver for that game.
Oh, okay. You got to take a picture there. Make sure you can breathe. Okay, bring a oxygen mask.
Your boy's not mile high shape over here.
Yeah,
we'll get ready.
You might need to bring some oxygen with you.
They got to win this game.
They have to win this game. Oh, no, if they don't win this game, we got to cash out on that 8.5 wins.
Yes,
bet,
absolutely.
Because this season's over.
Absolutely.
No, if we don't win this game and you go all those losses in a row coming up after it, you got to start selling pieces of this team for some better draft picks by the trade deadline.
That's tough to hear.
That's the way we're going. If you don't win this Falcons game and you get blown out by the Chiefs, the Packers, the Broncos, the Bucks, even the Panthers with their better defense, and McCaffrey's probably back by then, and then the Raiders, you're screwed. If you don't win this Falcons game and you're screwed,
look,
you have to start selling pieces. Jerome Payne, bye-bye. You're going by the trade deadline.
The only silver lining here is
the
Falcons don't seem to score a lot of points, right? They put up 6 in the opener and got run over by the Eagles. They put up 25 to the Bucks, but that game was actually closer until those 2 interceptions. And then they squeaked by the Giants, 17-14, with just a poopy performance from both teams, to be honest. But it's just interesting to see how they're built, because Matt Ryan, for better or for worse, he's still somewhat efficient. He went 27-36, 243, and 2 touchdowns. I'm just looking at the box score really quickly from Sunday against the Giants. The leading rusher, Mike Davis. How old is Mike Davis? Went 12 for 50. Cordero Patterson, 7 for 20. He was also the leading receiver, 6 for 82. Calvin Ridley, 8 for 61. Kyle Pitts, I think Kyle. I know.
I'm waiting for our friend from Atlanta to get on so I can ask him why I spent a high pick on Kyle Pitts.
Because he's supposed to be
amazing. His breakout
game coming in week 4. Yeah, it's perfect timing.
Well, look, Pitts versus Bostic, it's coming.
Yeah, it's exactly. The Atlanta offense is about to get really right really quick, because the defense, the Washington defense, just doesn't look very good. But look, why don't we pause here? We'll take a quick break. On the other side, we'll welcome in Tyrone from the Forever I Love Atlanta Sports podcast, FILA. He'll join us to preview Week 4 matchup between the football team and the Falcons. We're going to take a short break, and we will be right back.
This is DTC. We are taking a short break, but we will be right back. In the meantime, check out our YouTube channel, which is updated with content regularly, and if you haven't already, find us on your favorite podcast platform and hit subscribe. You can find the show on Apple, Google, Spotify, Amazon, and Twitter. Just search for DTC or Defeating the Curse. Thanks for supporting us. The show will be right back.
Atlanta covers all things Atlanta, all things Georgia, actually. We got to we got to know him a little bit when he was in the green room before we started the show. Tyrone covers all things Georgia, all things Atlanta, including the Atlanta Falcons. Podcast is called the Forever I Love Atlanta Sports Podcast. You can get it everywhere you get your podcasts. Tyrone, welcome to the show.
How you guys doing? I was listening to you guys in the green room. I want to talk to Razzle about Kyle Pitts. I know that's
please do, because I wasted a high fantasy pick on him, and now I'm 1-2 in my league.
So Kyle Pitts. Well, you guys were talking about the John Gruden, the Jay Gruden coaching tree. You guys know Arthur Smith is from that coaching tree as well. He's from the Shanahan system. So it's a little bit like you say, remember he left Washington, went to Tennessee, and he thrived. It's a lot of those people, like you said, a lot of those guys, we had Shanahan here too from Washington. He came down here and thrived. So for Atlanta,
he did more than thrive. He led you to the Super Bowl, which we won't talk about.
Matt Ryan MVP. So
MVP
that's
season,
right.
Yeah.
So, for us, like Arthur Smith, everybody in the fan base is tired. Like people, you get a new coach. It's just like, man, why are we not getting this guy? We drafted him 4th overall. Why are you not using him? You look at a certain group. Like I know these guys weren't hot picks, but Travis Kelce didn't. His first season wasn't. A lot of the guys you brought, you get brought in. Like Darren Waller's first season, he was really not efficient. But Kyle Pitts is slowly getting into his rhythm. I don't know if you guys, you probably didn't watch the Giants game, but at the end of the Giants game, Kyle Pitts got us in field goal position. He was the person that got like his first 2 catches of the game.
But Tyrone, we want to know when is this the week he's going to go off for like 6 for 125 and 2 touchdowns?
It seemed like seemed like is Calvin Ridley's going to have a breakout game.
Yeah.
But mind you, I don't know you guys like linebacking core, but if Kyle Pitts goes one-on-one with a lot of guys, we were looking for him. The one touchdown we scored in the 4th when it might have been the first touchdown when Zacchaeus caught it. We were looking for Kyle Pitts on the jump ball, and they double coveraged him. And I don't know what the Giants defense was doing, but we had a soft coverage in the middle, and he threw it to Zacchaeus. But we're looking for him now. We're starting to get him more involved. Like everybody, everybody's just like, man, you got to get Kyle Pitts involved. But it takes time with Arthur Smith. Like his offense is predicated on running the football. You bring in Mike Davis, you bring in Cordell Patterson.
How old is Mike Davis?
He's not that old. He might be 30 something now. I think something close to that.
That's ancient in running back years.
Yeah, in running back years, yeah, he's getting up there. Mind you, he went to South Carolina, so he's 28. Yeah, so he's been in the league for a while. He's been tossed around. But for the weapons, I know you guys talking about weapons. We have. I want to talk about Kyle Pitts because you were talking about Calvin. You said other guys. Hayden Hurst hasn't had a breakout game yet. Kyle Pitts hasn't had a breakout game yet. Calvin really hasn't had a breakout game yet. Zacchaeus.
This week,
the whole offense hasn't had. Your whole offense hasn't.
Yeah, nobody's had a big game. Matt Ryan, the best game Matt Ryan had was versus Tampa, and that was 25 points. And then everybody was like, "Wow, Matt Ryan is starting." Because people were trying to say he would look bad. Matt Ryan now has 40 game-winning drives in his career. He's 10th. He's tied for 10th in NFL history. So. A lot of
how
people.
Many of that has come in the last 5 years, Tyrone? Matt Ryan needs a new change of scenery. He needs to.
I'll put it like this. I'll put it like this. So Matt Ryan in the last 5, I guess I'll go from 2017.
I would say after the Super Bowl, he hasn't been the same. After he lost Kyle Shanahan, he hasn't been the same.
Well, no, 2018 he was. If you can look at his 2018 stats, he literally had an MVP year again. 2016. He threw, what was it? He threw for 2016 when he won the MVP was 49, 44. He was 20 yards off in his 2018 season. So, he had the same. It's for Matt. He has to learn. He's gotten a lot of shakiness. I don't know if you guys like the coaching changes we've had since 2016. We fired
you haven't had a consistent offensive coordinator.
No, we haven't had a consistent and then Dan Quinn ran our defense.
Yeah.
So
Dan Quinn's looking good in Dallas. That defense is looking pretty good in Dallas.
He's gonna. I'm gonna put it like this. He's gonna do the same thing with what's the guy they drafted this year? He's doing the same thing like he did with Vic Beasley with him. He's trying to move him from outside linebacker to the end, and I don't like that. I never liked Dan Quinn's adjustments on defense. I don't know why. Like we saw versus
Have
Tampa.
You met Joe Barry, who doesn't make any adjustments?
His
Torpedo,
defense is doing better than
You know,
DC.
I've dealt with Dan Quinn 5 years. First year, cool, new head coach. Second year, Jesus Christ, it was the hoopla. You know, we're going to Houston, we're going to Super Bowl 28-3, and then all of the defense literally collapsed. Like if you look at that, the defense collapsed, and the offense can't run the football. We want to throw the ball every play. So then we get, and then Shannon, the thing that made us mad is that when you get the reports, they were celebrating in the locker room at halftime like they had already won. Shanahan comes out and says, "Oh yeah, I should have ran the football, but you know, I just thought it was better to throw it because we threw it to Julio to play before."
So you guys have the rebuild, right? So Shanahan's gone.
Shanahan's gone. Dan Quinn's gone.
It is right. Let's call it the rebuild.
We will. I mean, you can call it that. We said retooling. I think we're trying to say retooling, but it's more of a
rebuild. Come on,
yeah, it's more of a rebuild.
Let's be realistic here.
Coming into this season, I don't think, from what I've seen, I don't think Falcon fans were very optimistic about the win-loss column and how the team would do. Starting 0-2 was terrible. Getting your win versus the Giants is great. And now it's very possible, looking at your schedule, that you can possibly be 5-2 because the schedule's in your favor. So from a Falcons fan, is the season going what you were expecting in preseason? Is it going better? Is it going downhill?
I want to add one on top of that too. Falcons fans must be looking at this game as a very winnable game.
Yeah. So for for fan base wise, when we look at I know you guys put out like take the under and all of this. When we saw the schedule, like we went 0-2, right? We, lost the Eagles. Everybody's like, well, that was a basic. We didn't play none of our starters in preseason, so we were like, okay, that's the dress rehearsal. We'll take that game. You go to Tampa, you get real, like you said, you get real close, and then you get 2 tip passes for pick sixes, and it was just like, okay, this game, it was a winnable game. Like we don't know what would happen if he doesn't know those 2 pick sixes. The box score looks horrible, but when you watch that game in whole, you're just like, oh, that was a really, really close game. It's Tampa fans that were scared about the ending of that game because they were like, we might lose to Atlanta. So then you get to last week where it was like, it felt like it should have been more, but it felt like a defensive battle, which was really weird. I wasn't expecting that. But our defense in the end held up. And when we get to this, we were like, when we were looking at our schedule, we were like, yeah, this could be a 5-2 team by Dallas. And the hardest team on the schedule was we were like, well, we go to you guys, then we play. Who we played? I forgot who we played next. We go to the Jets. We go to London. Then we come home. We got to play Carolina. It's a couple other teams in between that. But it's teams we should beat. I mean, like if you look at it, how it should look, it's teams we should beat. So it was kind of sort of on schedule. I'll put it like that. FP. It was like on schedule, but it was when we started off 0-2, it was all pandemonium because everybody this year. I don't know, you guys probably don't know Falcons fans, but Atlanta fans in general have a tendency to panic. We have PTSD from a lot of stuff.
We don't know anything about that here in DC. We don't panic at all.
I mean, we went 0-2, and there was people calling for Arthur Smith to get fired. So, and it was his first, and it takes a lot of mental toughness to be a coverage person down here because it's people that come in your chats and be like, hey, we should fire everybody and just restart everything. Get rid of Arthur Blank and get rid of, the man that's been supplying and people don't understand the Falcons are in $22 million of cap debt in dead space because Julio was 17. We're still paying Desmond Trufant. Let's think about that. So and he has.
I mean, realistically though, Tyrone, realistically, I mean, this team is not going to challenge for.
No,
they're not going to challenge for the Super Bowl. They're not going to challenge.
No. We're nowhere near Super Bowl ready.
Do you think they're a playoff team?
I think
they be a playoff team.
I think we can get 9-7. I think. Well, no, it would be 9-7. I think, or 9-8. 9-8. And that's being optimistic. Like my over under, I think this year from the team was I think I said 9. I think we're gonna get 9 or 10 wins. I think that's what I said.
So
I was thinking that
for a wild card. I was gonna say that. I mean, obviously, Tampa's the head of the class, but both the Saints and the Panthers. I mean, Panthers are undefeated. they're doing some work out there. With James Arnold.
Like my thing is for those teams, like I know everybody's like, man, they're undefeated. Like you guys from the outside, we're never scared. I don't know. I know we like remember Carolina went undefeated one year, right?
Yeah.
The Super Bowl year.
They went 15-1.
Who was the team they lost to? They lost to us.
Oh, okay. I mean,
so yeah, like our division, we're not scared of the division. Like I don't like it. Just never has been like
you're not scared of famous Jameis.
No. Oh Jesus, no. We watched him in Tampa.
What about Ron? Are you afraid of Ron?
Years.
I mean, you've got some experience covering Ron, right? I mean, obviously he was with the Panthers for all those years.
Ron,
tell us something about Ron because the sound bites, the sound clips we heard today and that we covered on it, they don't sound good.
It's the same Ron we've had for years in Atlanta. I mean, it's the same thing we've heard from Ron Rivera in the NFC South for years. Like he had Cam. When Cam got there, he was like, "Oh, we got Cam." So I want to point this out. When his record versus Atlanta, I was talking about in the green room. He's 6-11 versus Atlanta, right? That's his career record versus Atlanta while he was in Carolina. He literally has gone multiple seasons versus Atlanta, losing both games with Cam Newton, and that's when Cam Newton was in his prime. He's had good years with Cam and lost both games versus Cam Newton. I mean, versus Atlanta. He has never I don't know what it is. It's like a curse for him or something. He'll get a win in 20. I think whatever year Cam started the whole dab thing, right? He started the dab, right? 2015, right? Yep. You go look from 2015 to before he got fired. He's lost more games than he won. Since they did that big huge picture in Atlanta and they did the dab, they had lost so many games versus us. And it's
you're picking at a scab for me because the more Washington football fans look into the truth behind Ron Rivera and his coaching career, the less pretty it looks. If you remove that one magical season with Cam in the Super Bowl run where they lose to an insane Broncos team, somehow with JDR as a defensive coordinator.
I mean, I'm with you on that, FP. There's a lot of this,
scary.
The hands crossed on the sideline.
Yeah.
He doesn't look lost the way Jay did, right? At times he looks maybe not interested. But again, the sound bites to me were very
sound bites. The sound bites, and I told you I was going to listen to him because I went when the guy was like Matt's not as mobile, and you guys were talking about the pass and the Matt in the pocket. I watched Chase Young. Like he's one of my favorite. He was he came out the draft. That was my guy. I was like, okay, Chase Young will have a great season. He has two moves. He has a swim. He hasn't used it this season at all, and he has a bull rush. And he likes to do that bull rush because he thinks he's faster than everybody.
Yeah, the swim is reserved for his Under Armour commercial. That's it.
He's going versus how many years is this now for Jake? Almost 10 years. Almost close to 10 years for Jake, man. I think 2014. He got drafted in 2014. All Pro Bowl left tackle. Now, he will have, if he goes on a stunt, he will have Jalen Mayfield. But if you go look at Jalen Mayfield's college tape, he literally destroyed Chase Young. So it's some things where your D-line and everybody I was listening to, the defense for you guys has been shaky. And everybody was thinking you guys were it was so funny because preseason, when we were doing draft and stuff, we was like, man, we want to build a defense like Washington here in Atlanta, like the young talent and the young core. And then you guys start off and everybody's like, whoa.
I would aim for shaky at this point in the season.
Yeah, I would take shaky as well. They started off not so fast last year either, but the expectations this year, I mean, they're buying into their own hype or again, I put some of this on the coaching here in Washington. You got to make adjustments. You got to know that your guys, what they can and can't do. The linebacking core from top to bottom, every single one of them, not very fast. And that's okay, but that means you need more of them on the field. You need to cover more space. You need to play a little bit more zone. You can't expect them to drop back and cover. Frankly, I don't ever want to see Chase drop back into coverage. That's
going to hurt versus Kyle Pitts. I hope you guys
Well, like I said, I mean, we're expecting it, right? This is like we said. We said it at the jump. This is the week that everyone on Atlanta is going to eat, and everyone on the offense is going to get right, and everything's going to be great in Atlanta by Monday morning. And I'm fearful that in Washington it's going to be the opposite. I mean, for Washington to go into Atlanta and win this game, Antonio Gibson has to touch the ball more than 10 times as a running back. J.D. McKissic is going to have to touch the ball more than 8 or 9 times as a running back. And they actually ran the ball team right now.
J.D. McKissic is a wasted piece on my fantasy team. Mind you, he's from Atlanta. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to draft J.D. McKissic. And then he just hasn't done anything.
I mean, look, he averaged 7 yards a carry. I mean, they just got so far behind that they had to move away from the running game. I mean, Washington's game plan has to be run the ball effectively first, and then sprinkle passes here and there, and let Taylor do what he does. It's going to have to be that way. I would imagine the Falcons' game plan is the exact opposite. I don't think the Falcons have any interest in running the ball, whether it's with Mike, with whoever's back there, whichever nameless entity is the running back.
Hybrid running back Cordell Patterson.
Cordell is a godsend. Cordell is the most godsend person.
He'll have a big game against us.
We love Cordell here. Like
what happened to Todd Gurley? You guys just
we cut him. He got cut early.
He's a free agent.
Yeah, he's a free agent right now. He got cut.
Come on.
And mind you, I don't think it's Todd, and I don't blink it's Todd Gurley's fault last year. We had Sarkisian as our OC last year.
Sarkisian was horrible.
Yeah, like last year was just garbage.
Have you met Scott Turner? The most vanilla play calling ever.
No, but
that's why the Falcons had such a great record against the Panthers, because they have faced Scott Turner every time.
It's true.
I mean, if you look at what, like you guys were talking about, you got to run the ball. Mind you, we do have Deion Jones, and we have Grady Jarrett up the middle. We're developing our D tackle and Marlon Davidson and Saquon Graham. You still have Dante Fowler on the edge, who has now, I think he has almost 2 strip sacks in the last 2 games.
Well, you also have Foyer.
We still have Foyer.
Underrated linebacker.
He's one of, and that's why I feel like when people when the people say our linebacking core and they don't mention Foyer, I'm just like, no. Foyer is, and then you might have AJ back this week because he has a concussion. You might bring AJ back this week. You're probably going to get Io. And Io has been, and mind you, we're calling him a bust last offseason, and he came out this season. That's the Dean
pieces there. There's some pieces on the Falcons defense that if you can maintain your health and get all your pieces on at the same time, it could be a scary defense.
Yeah, I think that's.
I mean,
for you guys, I want to see McLaurin stretch the field. For you guys, like I think. Well, if you don't have AJ,
they're not going to happen. They're not going to call pass play for more than 10 yards.
No, it won't.
If we don't have AJ, you guys have to take advantage of that, because I mean, mind you, we still do have TJ Green, who is he's a younger guy. You know, he came from Clemson, which is funny because Fabian Monroe, who came from you guys, he played for you guys. Is here in Atlanta. He's our cornerback too, but he's not going to be here next year. If TJ Green put on a performance like he did versus New York this week, and you have AJ and you have Io playing nickel, yeah, you won't see much of Fabian next year.
I mean, Ron did mention that there's a chance that Curtis Samuel, they're going to check him out tomorrow, I guess, at Wednesday practice and see. But I mean, it's a long shot for him. I mean, until he's on the field, I don't think you're going to see McLaurin running any routes deeper than 10 or 15 yards. It's not going to work.
It's kind of sort of what we feel like with Arthur Smith. But mind you, Arthur Smith's whole playbook, if you know Shanahan's playbook, it's run the football and play action boots. It's a lot of that in there. It's not a lot of deep shots in that playbook. When you do get a deep shot, it's on a play action fake, and it's probably your tight end. Like we scored a touchdown versus the Giants, which was, Matt Ryan did the most perfect fake, and Lee Smith, out of all the tight ends we have on this roster, Lee Smith catches the football and scores the touchdown. And so it's like we have to realize like this team, and this is like for Falcons fans now, like we stress so much because what we went through with Dan Quinn and Mike Smith and all these other guys, it's just like it's sad. I mean, like the fan base is depleted. Like it's bad. Really, it's true.
I know depleted fan bases and being sad. Intimately.
Yeah, deflated and defeated is what we do here. That's maybe that's the next time when we rebrand DTC again. It could be the deflated fan base. Tyrone, I put on Twitter that I would take the under on the points. I don't think this will be a high scoring game. It sounds like you disagree with me. I think the line. Razzle, you have to check me on this one, but I think the line is at 41.5.
48. It's 48 is right now.
48. Yeah, I'm definitely taking the under. I don't see how either of these teams is going to get to 20 plus points. I just don't see it.
We're favored by 1.5. Should we take that now with the under?
Yeah,
You guys.
Does anyone like the over on the points? I'm 100% on the under. FP, you're going over?
I think you have to go over. I don't think defense is going to play a role for either of these teams on Sunday, and it's just going to be a what the hell is happening shootout type of game that nobody expected.
I think nobody wants to see Matt Ryan in the shootout,
though.
I don't think you guys want to see Matt Ryan in the shootout.
Definitely not.
No, of course not.
I just don't have.
Maybe 5 years ago we were scared of him. I don't think now we're scared of him. Come on.
You haven't seen Matt Ryan. He still has zip on the ball. He might be 36. He still has a little.
We saw a shootout on Sunday. I think we're done with shootouts for a while.
That was bad.
One way shootout.
It was bad.
I really thought you guys, and I had I think because we saw you guys' defense being so good last year, when it did get good, like when you saw it develop, we were like, oh yeah, this is gonna be one of the top defenses in the league next year. And it was just like, you get to this year, and it's like, whoa, what happened? Like, I don't know what it is. It's really weird.
Nobody has an answer for that. The players don't, the coaches don't, the fans don't, the media doesn't.
That's Ron Rivera for you, though, man. I mean, that's Ron Rivera, though. Like that's what you get from Ron Rivera. Every time his team just starts slowly depleting. If you guys can one day just go back to listen to Carolina Ron Rivera, and before he got fired, he went 5-5 that year, right? He got beat so bad. He got killed by the Falcons. Everybody
got beat by us. Wasn't the reasons he got fired?
Yeah, it was. I think it was you guys. It was the Falcons. He went 5-5 before he got fired. But it was time at a certain point. Remember, they sold the team. We knew Ron was going to be leaving once they sold the team,
right?
Because he kind of sort of got buddy with the owners, and you do one miraculous one.
Well, I mean, he's buddy with the owner now. I mean, he's part of the name change committee. He's part of the rebranding effort. He's part of. I mean, he brought the entire Carolina staff with him here to DC. The whole staff is here.
I mean, I'll give you guys a hot take now. I don't think he'll be our coach next year. He doesn't seem like he wants to coach anymore. I know he has had health issues and all that stuff. He just seems, his whole demeanor. Joe, you mentioned it with the arms crossed. I don't think he's in this for a long time.
Razzle, I'm right there with you, and I always kind of had the assumption from the day he was hired, Ron got brought in for a quick culture change, maybe 2-3 seasons, and then after that, I think everybody knows. And I mean, maybe Dan doesn't know, but Jason Wright and everybody else knows you have to get a young gun, like fresh talent, offensive minded,
like the 10 we used to have here,
like the 10 we used to have. Because when you watch Monday night's game, the trajectory of the Eagles and the Cowboys is completely opposite from us. You're not going to win in the NFL building a strong defense. You're going to win by building a team that can put up 40 points like it's nothing. Ron's not that guy. He's the culture change guy.
Well, Tyrone, if you look at
Tyrone, we're going to get you out on this question here. Give us one player to watch for the Falcons on Sunday, besides Matt Ryan. One player that's going to be the key, the MVP.
Please tell me Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts for my fantasy team.
Well, for your fantasy team, I'll tell you Kyle Pitts. But the one player I think you need to watch, and it's going to be a defensive guy for us. Dante Fowler. I don't know who you guys' tackle are, but watch, because he's gotten a 3-4 system for him, and Dean Pease has brought something back in Dante Fowler. So I say watch out for him.
That's fair enough. Tyrone, where can everybody find your podcast?
You guys can find me on YouTube at Fila Sports. Forever I Love Atlanta Sports Podcast. We're slowly getting on the Spotify and other platforms, so you guys can most definitely find us on there. And Twitter, of course, is Fila_SP. My Twitter, of course, is called on Tyrone ATL. We cover every sports in it, all sports in Atlanta and in Georgia. So you guys, if you guys ever want to watch, the Nats are out now. I was going to say you want to talk about the Nats, but
more games for the Nats, and it's game over.
Our magic number is 5, so we had to beat the Phillies, and I think we're winning right now. But other than that, no, it's just everything Atlanta. Come talk to us. Hopefully we play you guys again, and I don't think we
unless both these teams make it to the playoffs.
I don't think we might chat in January. Any other sport.
No, come on, we'll play with the Hawks and the
That's right.
Yeah,
we got some Wizards controversy, Razzle, for the next show when LP gets back on here. We got to talk about Bradley Beal and some of his hot takes yesterday. Grilling the media about the vax.
Too many vaccine hot takes.
100% vaccinated Hawks team. I just want to point that out. You don't have to worry about that.
We are the opposite of that.
The Caps are vaxxed.
The Caps are. That's right. Tyrone, thank you very much for making time. We appreciate it. Everyone, check out his podcast, The Podcast, I love Atlanta Sports Podcast, Fila, on Twitter and all other platforms. Tyrone, thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate it very much. We may pull you back for a post game. We'll see. We'll see how the game goes. If we're in a super sour mood,
if we're in a good mood.
Yeah, if we're in a good mood, we might call upon you to come and talk to us. Usually when we lose, we don't want to talk to anybody. So we'll have to wait and see. But thank you very much for making time with us and for hanging out with us.
Always great being on with you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tyrone.
So boys, a couple more things and then we'll break ourselves here. I think the key for Washington going into this game is going to have to be to run the ball. They're going to have to be effective running the ball. They're going to have to keep this game low scoring. That's why I'm on the under myself. I don't see how they can go into Atlanta and compete in a shootout. I do have faith in Taylor. I think he's improving. He will continue to improve. But in that building, it's not a super hostile environment, but I just think that if it's low scoring and the defense can do some things a little bit better, maybe get some dirt on Matt Ryan's uniform this year this week because they couldn't do that against Josh on Sunday. If they can just be a grind out game, maybe don't give up 12 minutes of possession in the opening frame to your opponent, like just little things like that. I think they have a shot, but I think I'm not hopeful going into this game. I'm not.
Can we? I know we're wrapping up here, but can we get into the Manning's Week 3 success that they had last night and how we're going to miss them the next couple of weeks?
I think they're back. I think they're taking 2 weeks off.
I think they mentioned it last night. I think they have a couple weeks off.
Yeah, we call that in the business. We call that contract negotiations, right?
Exactly.
Because no one is going to tune in to the standard Monday Night Football. I won't watch it.
Joe, can you get us in for week? Can you get us in for this week?
I would.
To step in for
I'll
them?
send our tape. I'll send the demo, the DTC demo, and say, look, we are happy to provide the alternate audio. And I won't put deodorant on, and I'll do this the whole time too, just so Peyton.
I'll bring my dad to come sit on the couch with us.
Yeah. I'll talk about how proud my mom is. We got it.
Yes, and Razzle, you can get up and do the salsa. I mean, everything about that broadcast is perfect.
Yeah,
it's literally perfect. I don't want the regular broadcast. I don't need a play-by-play, and I don't need a color analyst. I need Peyton and Eli ragging on each other. And just calling stuff out.
Breaking down the game.
They did the impossible. They made LeBron likable.
Yeah.
They made LeBron likable. That is, I mean, he was great.
I was not angry seeing him on TV and talking and hearing him in a different world compared to NBA. It was actually kind of refreshing for LeBron.
Yeah, he honestly, he was great. He was great. Yeah, I don't know. Any final thoughts, boys, before we put a bow on this one? Razzle, you got them winning or losing on Sunday?
No, we're losing. We're gonna lose this one.
But you're taking the over, but a loss. So you're saying the offense will do better, but ultimately a loss.
Yeah, I mean, I could see us getting behind like we did last week with the Bills, and then but keeping it close. But I think the Falcons are going to take this one. I think they're going to build on the momentum from last week, and it's going to start a downward spiral. And you know what it is? It's just hearing the clips from Ron, seeing his demeanor on the sideline. It just doesn't feel like. This just seems like there's something off behind the scenes, and and that translates to the execution on the field. So I'm gonna early this week. I'll have to look how the line slips throughout the week, but I think it's gonna be the Falcons.
FP, who you got?
You got the Washington football team. It's going to be a snooze fest until the fourth quarter. Both offenses wake up 28-17, like typical Washington fashion. As soon as all fans give up hope, they're going to come out and do something to reel us back in.
So you're on the under with me. You think it'll
I'm
stay
on the under? Yeah.
Okay. Well, there it is. There it is. Razzle, thanks for making time. FP, thank you for making time. Tyrone, thank you for joining us. Appreciate the insight into all things Atlanta Falcons, the Dirty Birds. I think that's the first reference we made to the Dirty Birds. It should be an interesting one. We'll probably do one more show, but leading up to it, we'll see with Curtis Samuel. We'll see if he practices on Wednesday. That'll be news. We'll probably record on Thursday. So if you're listening to this on the Contender Network, make sure you check back in on the DTC feed. You can find the podcast on basically every single platform you can imagine, including YouTube, Spotify, Google, etc. But yeah, let's see what happens. If Curtis, even if he's probably not even going to, even if he doesn't intend to play, some positive momentum in that regard would be really positive for the team. And again, Ron's not going to publicly game plan, but, rumors of him maybe being available would be really nice. I think it would be really nice. And frankly, McLaurin is the one that stands to gain the most benefit from Curtis coming back. I mean, it's going to be a while before he's going to stretch the defense against anybody and just unload with speed. But this team needs some of the offensive firepower to play better. I think it's going to I think the game plan is going to be Gibson heavy. We will have to wait and see. Well, I mean, that's it. Joe thinks it's going to be a shootout, but a loss. FP thinks it'll be a snooze fest until late in the game. He's taking the under. I'm taking the under as well. We'll get Stevie's opinion and LP's opinion later on in the week. For now, my name is Joe. This is Defeating the Curse, available on The Contender, available on all platforms. Thank you for watching live if you did. Thank you for sending in comments if you did. If you didn't, catch us next time. Until then, we are out.